Have you worked on RBs much? Yeah.
Yes.
So you know how big of a pain in the ass it is to pull like turbos off of like inside of a car, like when it's down there. Yeah.
We would just we would pull the motor for pretty much everything anytime we do stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. We were just talking about that.
Yeah, we were like,
you know,
it would
if
just
we
be
just
so
drop
much
the
easier
engine
to drop
down,
it.
like right on the subframe on the cart, we could swap the intake manifold out, have that looking all fresh too. Like, get to the manifold bolts so much easier.
Oh yeah.
All your turbo connections.
It's the way to do it.
It would be so much easier, and I wouldn't have cussed nearly as much or the same today, or as much as I did. Dude, it's gonna be bad, dude. I'm so out of it.
That's how tired Dan is.
Dan is tired.
Ed is pretty tired, but not super tired.
Ed did a burnout in a 32 today.
I did.
Oh, that'll wake you up.
Single turbo GTR that we pulled the fuse on. Yeet.
Can you link me the YouTube thing so I can share that?
I can probably send it in the chat even on this.
You can. That's what I'm in now.
Boom. Oh. Ta-da. Sheboygan, Michigan. Wisconsin?
Saskatchewan.
I don't know, man. We went up to Final Bout
like a year ago
when they did the gallery, and it was like a 14-hour drive.
No, it was like a 15-hour drive.
I don't know. It was a lot.
Yeesh.
But it was so happy we went. Those boys get down.
Yeah, it was a cool thing to experience.
I could see that.
I want to come out to one of your drift parties that you throw out there.
Well, you got
these days.
T-minus a month.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's not going to happen.
Come on, Dan. Get your crap together. All I have to do is learn a Tom Dreely in tune.
All I have to do is front, drop my motor in, do all the suspension, everything.
Yeah, just a few things.
All right, so we're back, guys. It's been a few weeks since we did a podcast. Obviously, we did the live stream of the Dyno Day last weekend. Is that one? 2 weekends ago.
2 weekends ago.
And that was a 8-hour live stream that I did. So if you think this is going to be bad, Dan, that was way worse.
Dan couldn't speak at the end.
Yeah. It was so funny. I watched like the first 5 minutes of the stream and then skipped forward to the last 5 minutes. And it was just like, the beginning was like, hey guys, we're doing it. We're so excited. Last 5 minutes was like, okay, I'm ready. And it was like 95 degrees and humid. It was awful. But guys, we have a pretty super cool guest here today. We've got Officer Dan or Dan Brockett or Mr. Gktech.
The dude from Gktech.
The
dude from those YouTube drifting videos, or
yeah.
He's really a cop, bro. He's really a cop.
All the time. Only on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm stoked that you're here. Thanks for coming on and hanging out with us and talking about.
Sorry for being 2 weeks late.
No, it's okay. Yeah, what happened is what I figured happened. So like, here's what happened, guys. We had it set up, and I sent in the text or in the Instagram where we were messaging the most. I was like, we go live at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, like EST. And then I was like, if that time doesn't work, let me know. We can back it up or make whatever work. And you're like, no, that should work. Sounds good. And I was like, cool. And then
I don't pay attention.
Yeah. And then I texted you like the night of or whatever, and then didn't hear anything from you. And then until like 8:30, and you were like, shit. I messed up. My bad.
Hey guys. My bad.
But you also had like 20 pallets of Gktech stuff show up.
Yeah, that was a rough time period for me.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
Filling out back orders or getting back orders filled.
Yeah, like 350 of them.
Yeah, we were one of them.
Yeah, we were probably one or two of them actually. Yeah, that's crazy. But we did it. We're here. We made it work, and I'm excited.
Yep.
I think if you want to like maybe introduce yourself to people who might not be
Whoa.
familiar with you or what you do? Or
Sure. So my name is Officer Dan from the High Plains Police Department. That's PD for short. But no, I'm a dude that loves drifting, has loved drifting since I first started. I was viral before herpes. I didn't really do anything with it, but I like to hang out. I run drift events out here in New Mexico and have since 2008. I competed in Formula D, and I say competed in air quotes very loosely. I attended Formula D from 2014 to 2015, and I was Danny George's spotter in 2013. Got my pro license at Top Drift
Cool.
in 2012. And since then, I've just been kind of doing my thing here, got into stunt driving and Gktech and all sorts of other good stuff. And now I'm here talking to you guys over the interwebs.
Nice.
that's crazy. So I gotta ask, one, how did you get into drifting? Was it like a friend was like, hey, I'm gonna do this thing and there's these things, so come with me? Or were you you know what I'm saying? Because that's kind of how it was for me. Well, I actually bought his 240 and he was like, I'm gonna sell it to you, but you have to drift it. It's
Yeah.
a condition of me selling you one.
Stipulation.
Yeah, so that's what happened with me, and I feel like that's the case with a lot of guys. But
It really is. And for me, it was pretty specific. Like I had a Subaru WRX STI. It was like an 04. And this was back in 2007. I used to go to like lighthearted track days out at Sandia Speedway and just do timed laps, and that was it.
Yeah.
It was fun. I had hurt my back riding BMX, and so that was my passion before I even got into cars, which was really late. I was like 27 when I got into cars.
Wow. Yeah,
Dang.
Older than
that's
most
older than
people.
Yeah.
Older than most people that are even into drifting.
well, hey, you're
Yeah.
doing good because you look
Period.
27. So
Hey, thanks. Yeah, so that was a good clip of time ago for you young bucks out there. Yeah, I didn't even get into cars until I was 27. Got the STI, and I was just going to open track days and nothing serious, no time attack, no autocross, no nothing. And they did a grip versus slip day at our local track. And this was back when this guy that was also a Formula D driver from New Mexico, Gary Lang, used to run events out here. And he put on a grip versus slip day. It was cheap track time for me because it was cheaper than the $250 I was paying to be out there otherwise.
Right.
And so I went to it and ended up getting a ride along with CJ Kofed and Travis Avery from Colorado,
Cool.
because they were running the Pro-Am series. It was kind of a weird Pro-Am feeder where you didn't get a license at the end of it. You got a chance to go compete for a license at Laughlin.
Okay.
So everything's really kind of changed. It went from you have a small chance in this way, you have to go to all these different events, and then you get to go to one event, then the top 3 guys get licenses. Then to you go to 4 events and the top 4 guys get licenses. And now it's you go to one event and you have to compete against 64 dudes in a weekend and you get a license. It's crazy how that all that's changed. But anyway, I got to ride along with them, and it was like the funnest thing I'd ever done. I was just like,
Yep.
the whole time in the car, and it blew my mind. And I put the Subaru up for sale that week. I sold it the week after that. I bought a 1989 coupe with coilovers, 5 lug, a steering wheel, and that was it. And it was single overhead cam KA. I went to my first drift event. It cost me like $280, and I got like 12 minutes of track time. Because
That's how expensive drifting was, at least around
that's how
here
it was back in the
I
day.
mean, the only place that had drift events was VIR, and I was not really willing to take my single jingle KA down there after I spend $400 to like try to drift and then like smash my crap on the freaking front wall.
Yeah.
That you have to pay. Like when you hit the styrofoam barriers, they're like $1,000 a piece, and if you chip one, you got to pay for the whole thing. So I was like, this just doesn't make any sense for me to even go try to do this.
And you can't
Yeah.
do VIR with a single jingle.
No,
There's no way.
you just do not
In
have
the
enough
rain,
momentum.
maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But you got to have the line.
Oh yeah, and that's well, I'm thankful for being single overhead cam. I was single overhead cam for like 2 years before I did any kind of a swap or anything.
Yeah, just
But I went to my
learning it
first
out.
drift event and didn't drift, not once. I was open diff. I didn't know.
Yep.
Nobody told me.
Yep.
I just bought a car off Craigslist and went to a drift event and was horrible. I entered the comp though, and I got dead last in qualification. I got dead last. That's why I got 12 minutes of track time. I literally got 2 practice runs and then my 2 qualifying laps. That was all I got. That was
That's
my
incredible.
first drift event, and I got dead last place.
Hey, but I mean, like, kudos to have the confidence to enter a comp on your first drift day in an open diff single cam.
You know, and
Car.
it's crazy because dudes like Mike Burns and Joe Haven and Travis and Skippy and all those dudes, because it was like maybe 5 New Mexico guys, but there was all sorts of dudes coming to get their licenses from Texas and Colorado, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's like all these dudes that I really looked up to and still do were at this event, my first ever drift event. And I was like, hey guys, we got the same car, because Joe Haven had his 2-tone coupe and mine used to be 2-tone, and then somebody spray painted it and he didn't talk to me. He's like, get away, kid. Shut up. And I was like, oh, all right. But anyway, I became really good friends with Travis and CJ, and they would come down from Colorado and stay at my house when they went to the events. And Travis actually ended up going to compete in Laughlin. He got 2nd place, I think, overall for the season. So hey, I met the cool kids and drifting. They were the Unicorn Slide Squad. I wish I could send you guys pictures of Travis's FCs. They were legendary, like God mode. God mode. There has never been a sexier FC than the one that Travis built. It was a.
I mean, if you've got pictures of it, you can share it to the screen
Let
on your
me,
computer.
while I'm kind of going around this, I'll try and see if I can find that stuff. But man, there's such good looking cars, and I always wanted an FC, but I also never wanted a rotary, so I never got one.
Yeah.
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 But that's how I got into it, and then I haven't gotten out of it for some reason.
Yeah. Well, because it's addicting.
It is.
And it's
It
like
still is.
it's still addicting, and it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I did it, I drifted, okay, but now I want to do this thing that I saw this guy at the track do, but what do I need to put on my car to figure that out? Okay, but now I also broke 3 things drifting, so I have to fix it. Like there's
Yeah.
it's like the money and the build and everything just keeps stacking on top of each other until you have a $45,000 car that you're afraid to drift now. But it also costs you like $400 in tires to drift because now you want to keep up with the guys. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
And
you can keep.
that's why I stayed low horsepower for so long, for 2
Yeah.
years, is because I didn't go through tires. I got more seat time than everybody because my car never broke, because it was making I think
stock.
we dynoed it one day and it made 98 horsepower.
Yep.
That was it. And I didn't go through tires. I could fit like 14 wheels and tires inside the 240 with me. So I didn't need
Wow,
a trailer.
in a coupe.
Yeah, in a coupe. They were all they were 15s and 16s only. I never had anything bigger than that. And they were all 205s. So I could just stack stuff in there.
Yep.
Like holding one while I'm trying to shift. And but
I
that was life for 2 years. It was good. And I will say to anybody that's getting into drifting, don't jump to horsepower, because it's a big handicap, and it just is a band-aid for shitty driving.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
See, and then I made the mistake with my first SR that I was like, okay, well, I'm drifting fine. I'm enjoying it. I'm really loving this. But at Shenandoah, you've been there for the low style event that we were talking about before we started. But you know, that bank, it's like, I want to get a little higher on that bank. I need a little more power. So I did turbos, cams, and injectors and stuff. And then the car never ran right. Like never.
No. And then you don't get to drive as much, and then you lose
Yep.
interest, and then it just snowballs, and then you're not drifting anymore, and you didn't drift for a year.
Well, and then the other problem is I kept blowing up turbos, and I wasn't running like high boost or anything. I kept blowing through turbo. So I was like, screw this, I'm going LS. So then I spent a ton of money going LS, and then I never got to drift it because financial stuff, but had to sell the car,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
So what did you put the an LS in after you got rid of the single jingle, or what did you do
Nope.
after that?
I was going to put an LS in it, and I really wish that I would have done it. I bought a short block and a T56, and I was so new into cars, I was really overwhelmed with the amount of parts that I needed to buy, and I didn't know what accessories I needed to get, and I gave up and I sold all the stuff, and I bought a complete Rb25 swap from a guy that I knew it was running in his car. He went to like 3 or 4 drift events, and then he ended up not liking it as much as he thought he was going to, and sold me his whole running setup, wiring harness, everything. So we swapped that in, and my third season I was stock 212 horsepower Rb25, which transitioned into me taking the RB into FD, and for some stupid reason.
Yeah, that's the thing about RBs, man. If you want to be reliable and be able to beat on them, you have to spend some money.
You have to spend a lot of
Or
money.
you have to stay under 400 horsepower. Because
Yeah.
I drifted that motor from 2008, 9, 10. So for 2 years I beat on that motor like religiously, and it handled all of it, but it was stock horsepower on an HX35, not running a lot of boost, and man, I was like, this is a great motor.
Yeah.
I could do stuff with this. So then we built up a Pro-Am version of it, and then the problems started happening once we peaked that 400. Then it was just like, oh, what have I done?
Yeah.
It's created a monster.
Yeah. I mean, 25, you hit 400 horsepower. It's time for like major build.
Everything has to
block
change.
bracing, everything. And then with 26s, it's like once you hit that 500 number, it's like the same deal. You know, it's
Yep. And it was a
crazy.
blessing that I actually flipped the car at the end of Motorcycle versus Car Drift Battle 2 at the end
Which
of
is
my
a
first
crazy
Pro-Am
story.
season. Yeah. But that was a good thing, because then I borrowed a friend's car with a stock twin 1J and got my license in an SC300, because I didn't have a
Nice.
car for the next season. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise, because there's no way my car would have made it.
And it's hard to beat the reliability of a stock 1J.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, that thing was bulletproof. It made
Yeah.
250 horsepower, and it was perfect. I
Yeah.
was just like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah. You've got to, since you mentioned it, you've got to tell people the story of you flipping that car, because I think I've heard you mention it before, or something, and something else, where like you were out there in that Mustang drifting all weekend, right? And then just
Yep.
you hopped in your car because you were cocky.
Yeah, that was pretty stupid.
Dude,
It
I've
was the
been there.
one more time thing where you should
Yep.
never do the one more time. And I knew
Exactly.
this from riding BMX for so long, but I didn't adhere to it because I was like, oh, it doesn't translate into motorsports.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Not at all. And so we did the whole, I think we were filming up there for a total of 4 days. We spent the whole first day, I just learned the road in my car, because I'd
Mhm.
never driven the Mustang. It was somebody else's car that was really expensive. It was an actual Cobra. They'd just done all these modifications to it. It was painted. It was very nice, and it didn't have a roll cage. So we did like 10 minutes at the track. I was like, okay, it drifts decently. I think I'll be able to do it. And then we drove 30 hours to Washington. I drove it a little bit at that racetrack we went to up there, which was the coolest racetrack that I think I've ever been to. I think it's Oregon Motorsports Park, or Oregon Raceway Park. But it was the most elevation changes, and they have a section called the half pipe, where basically you come down off of this big hill into a dip, and then you chuck it in up the side of a hill where it kind of horseshoes down and then goes up the other side of another hill, and you can chuck it in so hard it makes you dizzy. It was
Oh.
amazing.
That
It
sounds
was one of the
awesome.
coolest tracks I think I've ever been to. And this is the first time they'd ever let drifting on that track. And so I gave the track guy a ride. And now they hold events out there. And I really want to go back because that place was, oh my God, so much fun. And I just drove the S13. They were filming all the motorcycle stuff on the other side. So I just stayed on the backside and played with myself. And so that was like, we were there for 2 days only on that track. They got everything they needed. I did a couple of turns in the Mustang, and that was the extent of my driving there because we were trying to save it for the next spot. We went in right across the river to a road called Mary Hill Loops Road in southern Washington, and we just drove up it in the cars that they had brought with them, all the film dudes' cars, and I was just like, holy smokes, this road's pretty gnarly. turns out there's some really big drop-offs, and I don't have a cage in the Mustang, so we're definitely going to learn it in my car. And I did. Went up and down it all the first day in my car. I was having so much fun. Like, it was real controllable, real easy to do, super fun to link the turns. And then we switched to the Mustang, immediately broke 2 axles,
Oh my gosh.
broke one. We had a spare. And then, and that was that first shot where basically I see the motorcycle guys and I grab the E and do a U-turn and take off after them. Broke the axle doing that once. We fixed it. And then I broke the axle doing that again. And then it was 4 hours to get another one because the closest axle for an 03 Cobra was 2 hours away.
Oh my gosh.
So we had a 4-hour break. First shot of the day.
It's going really good at this point.
Going
really good.
super good at that point. And but that was really the last of the issues we had in the Mustang, other than it overheating all the time because of the blower, but that's pretty normal for those.
Yeah.
We went through and filmed for the next 3 days with the Mustang. Ran out of tires in the Mustang. After the last shot, we completed everything. I was out of tires, and I was like, man, I don't want to stop. This is fun. And Ernie wanted a ride. So I was like, we'll hop back in the S13 and we'll go up. I didn't think about it, but the Mustang was on 295s and my car was on like 235s or 245s, which is a huge difference in how hard you could chuck into a corner, obviously.
Oh no.
And so I did. Yes. And less horsepower and everything. So I needed to carry more momentum in the same corner that I had done over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and just completely overcooked it, overdrove the tires. And I knew it the moment I transitioned. I was like, oh my God, what have I done? Help me, 12-pound, 8-ounce baby Jesus, we're going over. And everything was in slow motion, and we're sitting here sliding, and I'm like, that's a cliff. It's a smaller cliff, but it's still a cliff nonetheless. And it ended up I slid right off an 8-foot hill, rolled. I guess I didn't tighten my belts enough. My head went out the window. I smashed it on the way back in on the roll cage, gave myself a concussion. I thought we rolled like 45 times. I swear to God, I was like, holy shit, we just rolled like 45 times. It turns out we just rolled once. But it was gnarly. And then Ernie, the other motorcycle guy, I didn't hear anything from Ernie. I was like, you okay, guy? And I didn't hear anything. And I was like, oh God, I've killed Ernie. Oh, he's dead. I don't even want to look over. And he got the wind knocked out of him, and he was like, yeah, I'm okay. I just got the wind knocked out of me. And I was like, oh.
Oh my God.
That's
I did not
insane.
kill Ernie. And then, yeah, we literally had to drag the car all the way back down the hill, and I flat spotted my SSRs, and
Oh no.
it was a huge bummer. It was such a cool weekend, and everything was up here, and then I did that and went right down to here.
Oh man.
But yeah, that was a gnarly one. And then I had to stay awake all night because I had a concussion. So
Yeah. Well, I mean,
yeah, that was that.
The video turned out great.
Yeah, video did pretty well.
And was that the first one or the second one?
Second, technically
Okay.
the second one. The first one that I was in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the
Those
only
videos.
reason I got to be in it was because Jim Guthrie broke his neck and chomped his teeth out in that crash at Irwindale.
Yeah.
Wow.
Otherwise, that would have been Officer Jim instead of Officer Dan.
And then you would have
I would
never
have
got
not
your
existed.
moniker, and you would have not existed,
I'd
and we
just
wouldn't
be
be
some
talking today.
dude. No, we definitely wouldn't. I'd just be some dude.
Yeah, that guy.
that one bro from
Yeah.
New Mexico.
Yeah.
that throws drift parties and
Yeah. I
awesome
think I
stuff.
still would have done that at least.
Oh
Because
yeah.
I had already done 2 of those by the time I was coined Officer Dan. So there
Yeah.
had already been 2 no coast drift parties.
Nice.
Yeah. Which just look like I mean, there's metal music and fireworks and partying and drifting
And a huge
and
bonfire.
yeah,
And
like
last year we had a mechanical bull, and we always have dodgeball mosh pit, which
yeah,
is the gnarliest mosh pit that you will ever see in your entire life. Because
which
it doesn't
is
stop.
It just persisted.
It doesn't stop because everybody gets a ball and then some girl will throw it in and then the whole thing will start over again. Like it's until they all end up in the bonfire and then it stops.
no, that just sounds. How did you get started with those? How long have you guys been doing that out there?
So I took over running the drift events in New Mexico in 2009, and from Gary Lang, and I didn't know what I was doing. I basically racked myself like $15,000 in debt
Oof.
because I couldn't get enough drivers to fill, because Gary was charging, like I said, like $280 a person, and I didn't want to be the dickhead that did that. And so I started charging like $100 to come to these drift events, but that didn't cover like any of the expenses. I didn't have any spectators coming out. There was like 8 drivers.
Hmm.
So $800 for a whole day of track rental, and the guys at the track let me keep doing it. And so I ended up, I think overall in 2009, I ended the season owing the track like $14,000.
Ouch.
So, they let me continue to run events but I think I only ran like 2 the next year. And I came up with this plan to have this big year-end bash like all these other ones. And like I told them how many people went to All-Star Bash, and somehow they let me run this bash, and all these dudes actually ended up coming from out of state. And I think we had like 28 dudes that came out. I think it was $250 to go all weekend long. But the big turnaround point was we had like 1,500 spectators that came for some reason, and that saved my ass. So
Yeah.
that whole event made enough money to cover the 1.5 seasons that I was in debt to the track for.
That's epic.
And so then that became my model. I could keep the drift events cheap. I could keep them at $60. I even lowered it even more. I lowered them down to $60 a piece, $10 to spectate. And that was my business model. I'd rack myself up in debt, and then No Coast would pay all that off every season.
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
And that's how I ran drift events, and that's how I still currently run drift events at our racetrack.
Awesome.
So No Coast has continued to grow. We went from that original like 28 drivers to 160 we had last year.
Wow.
Yeah, it was insane. And we've had some really cool drivers out. Matt Field's been out. Justin Pollock's been out. Taka's been out. LZ was out. We had a pro-am there one year, which was horrible. I never want to do that again because everybody had to wake up early, and I'm not into that.
Yeah.
It took the party right out of No Coast Drift Party and just turned it into No Coast all pro-am. Everybody was serious, and I didn't like the vibes, so that'll never happen again.
Yeah.
Decent.
But that's the reason why No Coast Drift Party exists, is so that I didn't have to move to a different state under a different name.
No Coast Drift Party like exists so that you can keep drifting affordable the rest of the year.
It does.
Which is
it really does.
Which is so sick. Like that's
It's
so cool.
my first experiences at drift events were horrible. You didn't get any seat time and it was really expensive. So I
Yeah.
vowed for the rest of my drift career not to do that to people.
Yeah,
And that's another reason why I won't run the 1-day licensing things. And that's a whole different story, is because that's just preying on the poor kids that have a dream. And I don't want to crush the dreams. I want to
Yeah.
enhance the dreams.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
Solutions, not problems.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been drift events that like I really wish that I could drive, but I didn't have like $200 extra, to just like go drive,
Or
everything.
1,000 if you want your license. Those ones are $1,000
Exactly.
entries.
I definitely know. I'll probably never be good enough to do any sort of like competitive drifting. I'm a very competitive person, but like I know that like I'm probably not going to be that good ever. And I can't afford the time to learn to be that good, like the way that like competitive drifting is now. I mean, you got to have some monies.
You got to have that family money. And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of where professional drifting has headed. It didn't used to be like that,
No.
but it definitely is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're not a YouTube star or have family money, you can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching James Dean's latest video that he has out, and one of the kids he was competing against is 14 from like.
And
the
that
UK or
kid
something.
rips.
Yeah.
Rips,
Oh, was
dude,
he the
like-
kid in the Eurofighter? The same kid from those videos?
He was the
Back
one
in
that
the
was
day?
competing with James Dean when he was like 13 in China in a rented
Yeah.
car and was just on James's
Yep.
doors. Like,
Yeah, he's
what the
freaking-
hell just happened?
It's sick.
Yeah. Like I was talking about it today, with the guys, there's a camera crew in here filming for one of the builds we're doing, but I was talking with them about a buddy of ours who's a videographer as well, and they know each other they do stuff with RTR together. But nevertheless, I'm tired. It's been a long day. Preston is his name, and he's been on this podcast before, but he started drifting before he had a license even.
Yeah, like
And
The
that's-
Pat Mordaunt method.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is insane, like he would come to Shenandoah and we'd be like, that dude's 15 years old, man.
Yeah.
And he just spent a
crazy.
lot of time on a simulator
Yeah.
and bought a cheap 240 and went out there and just killed it,
Yeah.
like
Sick.
it's so cool.
Yeah, some people just pick it up way faster than others. In the 12 years I've now been running events, it's crazy. We had a guy that had never drifted before in his entire life that came from simulation stuff like that. Came in and won our whole series in an automatic single overhead cam KA, wiped the floor with everybody.
How do you do that?
Unbelievable. His name's Daniel Wright. He's the guy that built the kind of greenish tannish station wagon S13.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
that's the same kid. So he went straight from sim racing for like 5 years to winning his first drift series he'd ever entered in an automatic single overhead cam hatch. It was the ugliest car I'd ever seen, and I was just like, how is this even happening right now?
I don't think
And has
physics
just continued to
I don't
dominate.
think physics even allows that to happen, but
It shouldn't. It was
I know.
impossible.
Yeah, that's
It was impossible. And yeah, so now he's definitely one of our top drivers within the like last 5 years. It's insane, like how dudes just come out of nowhere and they're just rippers.
Just fire.
yeah,
Yeah, just
Yeah.
killing it.
Yeah, they just have it. They got it.
it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, I know that as soon as my kiddo is tall enough to reach the pedals on my sim, I'm just gonna have him on it like constantly.
It
Like, all right, it's
it
time to go
teaches you
drive. Yep.
going the other way around, like going from knowing how to drive to going to a sim is really difficult.
Oh, it's super
Yeah.
hard.
Because it's
Super
wrong and you can't feel anything, and that's
Yep.
we drive by feeling. And
Yep.
those guys, they have all of the knowledge of how to tandem, braking points, when to e-brake, clutch
Yep.
work. They have
Yep.
all of this knowledge jumping into their first car, and then they get the feeling and they just take off.
Yep,
Like
they kill it.
it's
so-
unreal.
Yep, it's so much fun to watch.
And that's
It
the
is.
same problem I have. We have 3 sims upstairs, and I suck at driving a sim. Like I seriously just suck.
He does, ladies and gentlemen. He does suck.
I'm a pretty decent drifter, like driver. Like if you ask me to go around a track fast too, I can do that.
I can
But
do it.
driving a sim,
You lose your connection.
Yeah, there's nothing for me to feel.
All your inputs have to come from visual
Yeah.
and audio, and just a little bit of force feedback.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Oh, it's nutty. I was the same way. We started this thing, me and Hobo actually, Josh Heron, the guy that was the other half of Keep Drifting Fun.
Right.
We started this thing called Let's Drifting 4 years ago, and we used to do streams every Wednesday night until we both lost interest and stopped doing it. But I would always be the dude that would just come ramping off the top of the mountain, backflip over things, and then lawn dart into a hill and get stuck. I never actually was really good at drifting with people, but I was the idiot that was crashing everybody and ruining people's lives.
Yeah,
that's what I do.
It's fun though.
it is fun. They'll be like, guys, we'll be standing me upstairs, and they'll be like, all right, Dan, you lead, and I'll be like, all right, this line's gonna suck dick, you know.
Check this out. Cuts halfway across the track.
Looped it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Well, that is one thing that helps with the sim though too, is like when you're following somebody, you can see them overcook and be like, oh, yo, I need to calm down.
And that's good because
it
it
helps
teaches
you know how to
it's
learn
the
how to
same mentality of being heads up when you're on the track,
Yeah.
as opposed to somebody running tandems for their first time and not knowing what's going on with the car in front of them. And
Yeah.
so I wish everybody could do sims. Like I found my setup on Craigslist for like $250. It's an
That's
old
good.
G27, but hey, it gets
awesome.
it done.
Yeah, that's what we have upstairs, are G27s.
Yep.
Just have the eBay hub adapter, and then we have some knockoff wheels, so they're nice and light.
See,
on
I need to do that. I need to change the wheel. That tiny wheel is garbage.
Yeah, I had a tiny wheel on my sim at home for a while, and I was just like, I felt like I was driving Mario Kart. You know, I was on the Wii. How do you whip this thing? Just like that.
Just like that.
Yeah, I think that just the most frustrating thing is that like I know in my brain that this is what I need to do to make this car do this.
Cannot make it do it.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like I'm too stubborn, and I'm also like I won't get on the simulator because of that, because it like frustrates me. You know, so like I just need
if you got on it every day after work for 20 minutes,
yeah, I'd be killing it.
In a week, you'd be like, yo, I'm getting it.
Yeah, it's a seat time thing. It's retraining your body on I can clutch kick unlimitedly.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was my problem. I was like, man, I need to save the. Oh wait, I'm on a sim. God damn it! And then just
no mechanical sympathy, literally,
Zero.
because you don't have any.
Yeah.
You don't have to. It ain't costing nothing.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So I guess we can get back to your story. We don't have to talk about we can talk about it as long as you want, but
that was a nice segue.
Yeah, nice segue. Was FD where you kind of got connected with Gktech, or how did that whole deal come about?
It's actually kind of a sore spot for me because I got my license. I took no, you're good. It's not a sore spot now. It was a sore spot then. I'm over it. I'm over it, bro.
No, you're not.
Okay, so maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm a little bitter. So I got my license 2012, took 2013 off, was Danny Georgia's spotter, did a few Pro-Am events here and there, ramped my car in Vegas. That was pretty much my year. Built my car at the very, very tail end of 2013, basically in between SEMA and when FD started, which is kind of how most of it goes. Didn't get one goddamn sponsorship. Took out my 401k and was like, I'm going to be a professional race car driver. And through my entire life, I just got fired from T-Mobile. So I was like, all right, well, it's happening. I'm going
to be a professional now.
Yeah, I'm going to be a professional race car driver. I'm going to live my dream. Everybody says to chase it, so here we go. And bought a chassis, worked with Rob Brokerage a little bit. They gave me like 50% off on parts, which was still like 15 grand in motor alone. For the solid lifters, for the cams, for their intake manifolds, their exhaust manifolds, the throttle body, all of the head work to get the oil to flow, the Nitto oil pump, which was like $1,200, which cracked anyway. I have it. It's just sitting in my trailer. So
that's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Not a good thing.
No.
I had dude, I threw the wallet at the thing to get it to run because everybody's like, don't do an RB. And I was like, no, I think you can. I just need to talk to some Australians. Plot twist. That
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Anyway, so we spent all this money on the RB. We put the cage in. We put the fire suppression system in. Beefed up the drivetrain a little bit. Ran Z33 axles and so on and so forth. And this is where Gktech comes in. So I had reached out to Greg previously, and I did a kind of intro video on the aluminum knuckles, which was a really funny video because I'm an idiot and I kept dropping stuff and trying to explain things in the way that Officer Dan would explain things. It was a really, really funny video, and it kind of got me on Gktech's radar. And so he was like, yeah, we'll sponsor you for FD. And now it's like 2 weeks before we're supposed to leave, and I have no suspension arms, no knuckles, nothing. So Greg's like, well, basically what happened is somebody was running my warehouse in Australia, and he basically is holding all of my stuff ransom. Like, it was a guy that I was partnered with, and a really bad scene happened, and he's not letting me get any of the parts. Sorry, mate.
Oh my gosh.
2 weeks before FD, I paid full price retail for 2 PBM front ends and rear ends.
Oh my gosh.
It was like $6,000
Yeah.
worth of stuff.
Yeah.
Plus the shipping to get it there, Mach Schnell.
Yeah.
Which ended up costing me 3 rounds of FD because anyway, I'm not even going to go into that. But yeah, so that's how I first was introduced to Gktech, was by them screwing me over for FD.
Which is so perfect though.
It's hilarious.
It really works with everything that is me. So I guess I can't really hate. And it's not really his fault, but I definitely took it as his fault. So yeah, fast forward past FD, and like the moment I stopped doing FD, Greg was like, hey, do you want to be our USA warehouse? I was just like, really? Really? Okay, fine.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a job
like,
because T-Mobile fired me, and I just spent my life
I don't have a
savings
job.
during
Spent
FD,
all my
so-
life savings. Was horrible at FD, and now what do I do with my life? Oh,
Yeah.
I guess I'll sling parts. And man, it was an interesting experience learning on how to become an importer, a warehouser, a shipper, a
marketer.
I took on
marketing
so
guy.
many different roles that I had never done before. It was just like, all right, you're head first. Your first shipment comes in a month. Good luck.
Wow.
And like, I had to go, they didn't label something right on all the parts, and I had to spend 2.5 days in a hot warehouse re-stickering everything because customs was like, nah, you can't have any of this stuff. So I had to go sticker like 3,000 products.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So this is me still doing it. I was making like $400 a month for like 2 years doing Gktech, and like, it was just, it was brutal. But I saw the potential because I was like, well, Greg kind of has the same mindset of me, is I'm not out to screw people over with what I'm doing in the drift community.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a reasonable product that's not overpriced, and I'm going to make literally every part that I can to make people's lives easier.
Yeah.
And I really like stood by that philosophy because it struck a chord with me after I kind of learned what Gktech was, and he's got his own engineer that does all the parts, and like they take it really seriously. So it's not like a Megan Racing or an ISR where it's just recoloring the parts from a different factory,
Right.
which is exactly what those are. They don't care about R&D. They don't care about fixing problems that they have. It's just, Greg really cares. And when people break stuff, that's why we have version 2, 3, 4, because he's really quick to be like, okay, 3 people broke that. That's a problem. Let's fix this and make a new version.
Yeah.
Which is insane because no company in the 240 world does that. PBM doesn't do that. Nobody does that.
No company like in any world does that,
and it's fast. Like, they work really, really fast. So getting involved with that was like, it just fit with my mentality. Like, business wise, I had no idea what I was doing, but it fit with my mentality of how things should be in the drift world. We shouldn't be charging $3,000 for an angle kit.
Yeah.
That's retarded.
Because that's the price of a car.
Exactly. You're making it impossible to get new people into the sport, and you're making it impossible for people to maintain once they're in the sport. Then they break it and they're out because they got to spend $500 on one knuckle.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that aspect of working with Gktech, and there was a lot of growing pains up until where we are now. But now it's a pretty smooth sailing machine, and other than COVID happening and screwing everything up, dude, we were like 3 months backed up on parts and had 300 back orders, and that was our first shipment since January.
Oh my
gosh. I
gosh.
missed it for you. So that's why it was kind of a big deal to get all the parts unpacked and checked in, is because
well, I would actually rather you do that, so we can even have some parts.
Yeah, so you got some of your stuff, but it's good. And now he's moving into the 350Z stuff, and now 370Zs and the 380Z or 400Z or whatever it's going to be called when it comes out. He wants to get his hands on one of those right away and start developing parts for a new chassis for the first time.
That'd be cool.
So,
which is awesome. I mean, because we can go down this rabbit trail real quick, but 350Zs are the new affordable drift car.
And they're less than a 240, and for $300 you can have as much angle as a 240. It's stupid not to drive one, especially if you're getting into drifting. If you're already into drifting and you know how, you should probably be in a different chassis, unless you just want seat time, which is what I did. But because my other car was always broken.
I've thought about it a lot to just buy a 350Z for seat time.
I
never had.
Would absolutely 100% vouch for that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably gonna hurt some people's feelings, but like, I just don't like the look of 350Zs.
I hate the way they look. Hate the way they sound. I hate everything about the Z except for when you're behind the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And then it is glorious.
Yeah. And like,
it makes it all worth it.
Somehow just have so much grip and are able to like turn 265
because they have suspension that actually is worth a shit.
Yeah.
Not from 1989.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
That's why.
You're not wrong.
I mean, that's
great.
It wasn't designed in the 80s.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's huge differences. It's like technology advances in 40 years. It's weird.
What?
Yeah. Things change and they get better. I don't know. But yeah, they're fantastic cars to drive for just the sake of driving. And then you put a V8 in it and they're actually really competitive.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So
I don't understand it. I mean, it's like
funny
magic.
because here they're so ungodly cheap. I have 3 of them. And I paid less than $8,000 for all of them.
Do they all have titles?
Yeah, all titles, all were running. Now 2 of them are blown up and one of them has a gas pedal issue. But needless to say, they can be found for cheap, and then you can beat the living crap out of them. But they I don't even know where I was going with that. God damn it. Lost my train of track there.
Rip.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But that's what I was going to say. Everywhere else in the world, they're still like $10,000 cars.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few for around the 400 to 4,500 range, but they are beat to crap. They are definitely in need of paint. They obviously are going to need some suspension work because they have 200,000 plus miles, and whoever's owned it hasn't done anything to it.
No.
But yeah, like, I mean, that's how much. I mean, you can buy a nice 350Z for like around 6. That's not an 03, like an 04.
Yeah, but you're going to pay $6,000 for a clapped out 240 that doesn't run.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nowadays, yes.
Unless you're me and bought a shell with a title for $300 that needs a tube front, and you got a S15 SR full swap for $2,500.
See, I mean, you can make it happen, but for
most
people getting into drifting, no way.
Yeah.
That's way too steep.
You can't buy like a non-rusty, a semi-rusty like S13 with a single cam for like $4,000 now.
No.
You can't.
So
you can't.
The Z game is going to be strong, and there's so many of the goddamn things. And the moment that the new Z comes out, 370s are going to half themselves in price.
Yeah.
And they're all
exactly.
Are all 370s HRs?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's all a much better motor, even better suspension.
Yeah.
Like it's different. It has a better transmission even than a CD09. Like they're fantastic cars, but those are still way over 10 grand.
Yeah.
But the moment that new one comes out, boy, those things are going to plummet, because that's what happened with the Zs. It was like Zs were like 15,000, 15,000. 370Z comes out 8,000, 6,000, 5,000, 2,000. Like it's nutty. And so I'm really happy that Greg is finally jumping on that, because he didn't want to make parts for him because they don't sell any 350Z stuff in Australia. We're literally the market for that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, it wasn't the 350Z built for the U.S. markets, like pretty much
Specifically.
Pacifically.
That word. Yeah, I mean, because there's not that many of them in Japan either, from what I've seen in videos.
And they're super expensive.
Yeah, like they're still like 30 grand for like a newer
it's
one.
unreal out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool, man. I'm happy to be involved in that, and kind of every little bit helps grow the sport. And this is a huge chunk of growing the sport. It's getting people into an affordable car that's easy to drive. You couldn't do that for the past 10 years now with 240s being the way that they are. You're not going to get a 7M Supra and go shred. You're just going to blow your head gasket your first lap out. Like we were very limited on the amount of cars that you could use. You had RX-7s, you had 240s, there was nothing. There wasn't a cheap car, but now there is, and it's just going to get cheaper.
And there's a bunch of them.
And there's tons everywhere.
You have G35s too. Like
G35
exactly. Sedans, those are the ones that we see around here for like $2,000 and $2,500.
Yeah.
And they shred. Obviously, Luke Fink proved that during Drift Week.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
One of our techs has a G35 that he's like, pretty much he needs an alignment and his car's ready to go. He's got a bunch of Gktech stuff on there, and yeah, I mean, it's going to be gnarly.
Yeah. Well, he could throw back. He's like Luke at Adams with no problem when the car is the width of the track.
It is a big body,
dude. It's huge.
Yeah. Like if you were to tandem an S13 next to that thing, it's like dwarf.
You got plenty of room to choose where the hell you're going to go. Like,
yeah, it's like a Miata Mustang kind of comparison. Like
drifting with a school bus.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're gnarly, dude. So keeping in track, because I do want to talk about Drift Week, but since we're kind of on this Gktech thing, the guys, our people under our umbrella know that we do a lot of R chassis stuff, S chassis stuff, some as well, but a lot of R32s, 33s. We just had our first R34. It was it was a Midnight Purple 2 V-spec. V-spec, like it was a show and display car.
Yeah,
you'll have to check out there on the Instagram or like on our Facebook page. Or
check out Super Street
or Super Street. We just got published.
Oh, nice!
Yeah, it's
sick, dudes.
Yeah.
But that car is just gorgeous. But we use a lot of Gktech stuff. Hikes delete, ABS delete. Sway bar end links, tension arms, almost always tension arms on these things.
ABS delete constantly.
There's not a lot of people that make that many parts for the R chassis.
No,
there are people that make parts for the R chassis, but not in the US. Not readily.
No, and they're
like
expensive as hell, and they got 8 weeks to get here, and
exactly. You're ordering off Nengun or Right Hand Drive Japan, and you're waiting months. And I mean, like Cusco, you can get like some Cusco like strut tower bars and stuff from stateside,
from like turn 14.
But that's
and stuff.
but that's very like few and far between.
And it's hit or miss. It's not like you can be consistent with it.
Right.
Yeah. So there's so for one car predominantly that we're building, it's a car that we're taking to SEMA, but it's getting garage active wide body. We've pretty much got, I think, everything that Gktech sells, I think, on this car. So like the entire full rear suspension with knuckles, every arm for the front.
Oh, that's awesome.
The only thing we didn't get is the knuckles for the front
and sway bars, and the knuckles for the front because they don't have like allocations for like ABS or
no, they don't.
Wheel speed sensors, I think it was.
Yep.
But
we learned that.
We have the roll center correctors. We have the tension arms.
Everything.
Nice.
Do we have lowers for the front?
Did we get lowers for the front? I don't know. We kind of just went through everything and ordered everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's going to be rad That car's getting like a stroked RB30, big single with we're doing a custom manifold for it. Yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
gnarly.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen them, but like we have some 19 by 12 inch Workmeisters that are going on it.
Oof.
Like they're ridiculous. We got Brembo helped us out, so we have some Brembos that are going up front, and then we're using
Sick.
34 Brembos in the rear.
Trying to
Man,
find a
I'd-
picture of those wheels because they'll make you just cry.
Yeah.
I look at them every day when I come into work, and I'm like, they're just obnoxious in the best way. Here you go.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Get out of
Like
town.
8-inch lips on the rear. Like,
Yeah,
it's,
it's awesome.
yeah.
That's amazing. I love every single thing that you just said.
Yeah, so we're
Yeah.
doing like a mild tub in the front, like raising it up just a little bit to give it more clearance. I don't think we're gonna need it, but we are doing a little mild tub.
We just also
and
want to
then, like,
clean up the pans in
yeah,
there
that's
because
all that's gonna be really visible because we're gonna do a lot of shaving in it.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
also it's going to be on T-Demand. If you've ever heard of them from Japan, it's like a air ride kit.
Huh.
And so R32 GTR on air ride. So like the Garage Active guys and the T-Demand guys are like BFFs. And they're both kind of smaller shops, but T-Demand's really big in like the VIP, like the newer.
Well, that
Lexus
makes sense.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But their kit is like, and it's just gorgeous. Comes in like the tank's already full, hard mounted with like bent tube, like hard lines and stuff.
I
It's
can't
just
wait to see that
insane.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be
Cannot
nuts.
wait.
Yeah.
And the underside is gonna look so sick with like all Gktech everything,
yeah, we had the
with like
subframes
subframes powder coated red and the sway bars.
Get a
powder
hold of
coated.
them on their Facebook page and send some pictures of the build stuff to Greg and see if he'll work with you guys on some stuff because
Okay.
Okay.
I think that they should for sure.
Well, we've already
I'm not in
ordered
charge of
everything,
any of
so
that, but yeah.
it's
Well,
kinda-
yeah, but I mean, in the future, that's like a
Yeah.
big token of goodwill. Like, hey, remember
Yeah.
us?
Yeah. Hey, remember us? Yeah.
yeah, that and I mean, I think we place an order with Gktech probably once a week.
It varies. I try to like stock up, like on the ABS delete kits.
Oh yeah,
I
we
order,
keep
like,
those
3
in
or 4 of
stock.
those at a time.
Yeah,
'Cause I
there's certain
swear-
things where there's shops that order like hundreds of an item. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah,
tie
but-
rod extensions.
Yeah, those things are awesome.
I had them on my car.
I had them on my Y32.
Yeah. That and then the my favorite Gktech thing that I ever got was the V4 tension rods for the S chassis with the like super high clearance, or maybe it was V3.
I think you're on V4 now, right?
I think we're on V4 ones of those, the budget ones.
I don't know. They were pretty gnarly looking. They had, multiple different. Yeah. So that was them. But I love those things. They just made the
they're-
car feel so much better, dude.
Dude.
And
your
like
bushings were
my
shot.
so bad. But like it's like a night and day difference of the way the car felt. And I also put the
Roll center
the
corrector?
well, no, it wasn't the roll center correction, but I did the offset tie rod ends.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
are you talking about like the rack offset ones?
No, like the offset to like the
outer tie rods.
yeah, the outer tie
Yeah,
rods. Yeah.
The roll center corrector joints, like built in.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, they make some interesting parts, and they're just nice solutions that aren't going to cost you your firstborn child.
Exactly. It's
Yep.
like I can go on there and like put an entire cart together and still be like, that's affordable, and I'm getting
That's
so
the
much
price
stuff
of
for
one
it.
arm from some other people, and it's
Exactly.
just like, oh,
Yeah, and just so many like interesting things. Like they just dropped the carbon fiber dash surrounds for S chassis. We were talking about that before the thing, and they're like $50.
yeah, nothing.
Like I don't understand it. Like that's what I said. I was like, I don't understand how it's that cheap, but that's insane.
Because he doesn't want to rape people. That's
Yeah.
bottom line. Bottom line. It's crazy because like just to give you guys kind of a perspective of like the markups that some of these guys are charging, like a WiseFab kit, if you were to buy it from their store in Estonia, where they're from, it's $800. Like for the full kit.
like $800 US.
$800 US
Gosh.
out the door. Or here you buy it and it's 3,100 with everything.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
huge. that markup is, to me, a kick in the nuts to everybody in drifting.
It really is.
They'll throw the products at all the pros to make the kids want the stuff,
Yep.
so that they will save up $3,000 and spend it on a front end that will wrinkle the first time you go over a rumble strip because it's not meant to be driven on the street.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a difficult place to be, because then you have people expecting, well, I can get WiseFab, and we'll go get WiseFab. I'm not stopping you from getting Gktech, but it's going to be a lot more value because you can have spares.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You could have literally almost three sets of like the super lock kit from
Yep.
Gktech for the price of
For
one.
price of one.
Yeah.
And people don't really understand that. They're like, well, I don't see why I should have to. I get two more degrees of angle with these other guys. And it's like, well,
If you need 2 more degrees of angle, you're lacking somewhere else, bud.
understatement of the century.
That's awesome.
Oh man, what degree is the super lock kit? Do you know off the top of your head? I know it's something absurd.
If you go crazy with your setup and everything in your car is smashed in and notched and shaved, I think you can get like 72 degrees out of it.
Which is ignorant.
Which
Like-
is stupid. If you are able to power through 72 degrees of angle, you are Jesus on wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have way big power.
Yeah.
Yeah, gnarly power. But most dudes aren't even going to ever come close to that. I think when we measured mine, I ended up at like 67, and I don't ever use 67 degrees. Like,
Yeah.
you just don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
You don't need that.
Even with the roll center correction kit, like for S chassis, like
You're in the 60s with that kit.
yeah. And I don't even
it's
think
like-
that I've ever been like, I need more angle, you know?
Well, like my first drift car was Dan's, like what
Mhm.
I sold it to you, and I had never like drifted my green car. I never really wanted to, but then I was like, well, I don't need two 240s. Like I'm going to drift the green one. So I bought the roll center correctors, and I was like, man, these things feel awesome on the street. And then like the very first corner, I remember like I just took off and I hucked the car in just like I thought I would normally. And I was like, oh, overcooked it. And then it caught, and I was just able to like maintain
Just
it
chill.
with some
Yeah.
decent angle
Yeah.
through the whole corner. I was like, oh my gosh, these things are awesome.
Yeah.
And your wheels not going.
Yeah.
It's not binding up, being all crazy. It's just smooth. It was
Yeah.
that moment I was a believer.
I wish that we made those roll center correction kits for every rear-wheel drive car out there. Like,
Me too.
I wish we did it for Lexus and BMW, and he's
They're
focusing on
great.
Nissan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm cool. I'm cool with the fact that you guys make them for R32 GTRs now, because that
Yeah.
definitely
Helps so much when
yeah.
you go low on those things, because the binding with the axle.
Oh, it's
my
unreal.
gosh.
I hate those upper suspension. Oh, it's just like, come on, guys.
Stupid front. Oh yeah, that's another one we get all the time. Front upper control arms, because they're all bad on every
Every
R32.
single one.
Every one is screwed.
Yeah.
Like from the factory, it's bad. Like
Yeah. Rolled it off the floor. Fuck.
Man, that's got a lot of camber in the front.
Yeah,
What a
weird.
difference.
So yeah, it's good. I really enjoy the fact that he is continually even making new parts for our chassis stuff, which is kind of unheard of.
Yeah, I'm about it.
well, that's because it's like, well, we're getting 33s now. Those are
Yep.
becoming more. So now all like the 32s are like, I would say their price is coming down. It's not, it's going up, but that there's
Yeah.
just more people buying them. I
Yeah.
mean, they're
Yep.
being sold like crazy.
More into the
so-
country, so people are going to need more replacement parts, because
Yep.
we've kind of held off on keeping a lot of the R chassis stuff here, because God, the first time we got a set of R34 knuckles, I think I sat on them for like 3 years
Yeah.
until
I mean,
they
I believe
sold.
it.
But
I
it's
mean,
just
there's
like
only-
there's only
only
a
a
handful in the
handful.
country.
Yeah.
And for us to even sell one, I guess is pretty good, because it was one of
I
the
mean, I'm
5 people that have one.
Yeah. I mean, there's only a handful of them in the country, and most of those people aren't going to touch that car.
Yeah.
No,
know?
they're not. But if they do ding a curb, they're going to be like, oh shit, I can't get a knuckle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, they
Or a
can,
control
but
arm, or yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Got to have to overnight parts from Japan.
Well, I mean, it was like the R34 that we had in. It needed rear sway bar and links. And
Yeah.
Just Gktech.
Yep. I mean, and it's also nice to sometimes be the only choice.
Yeah.
Well, I think I had the option to buy them from Terra Firma, the OEM ones, but
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were considerable bit more, and I
More
would have had to buy them
expensive.
separate. And I was like,
Oh,
honestly,
you wanted hardware with those? That's extra.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
But yeah,
Oh, Justin McLaughlin's in here.
shout out Justin.
Yo,
Yeah,
what's up,
he-
J-Flex?
He was he was at Low Style. He had that IS 300 1JZ. He was part of the Battle Stags crew, the like
Yeah, he's in the
rose
squad.
livery or like
The dogwood.
dogwood livery. But yeah, I know that was like 2-3 years ago. So good luck
How many
remembering
drift
that.
vents
But
since then? Yeah, exactly.
yeah, exactly.
And all S chassis look the same anymore.
Yeah, they do. They're all red, Ed.
I'm still gonna paint mine red. I don't care.
Yeah. Okay.
He's like, I'm doing it.
I'm doing it.
Let's talk about Drift Week because for the people that maybe haven't seen that, there's this thing that happened earlier this year, or was it late last year?
It was this year.
Yeah.
Seems so long ago.
I know. COVID really takes it out of you, you know. But yeah, Drift Week is insane. It's like, how many tracks was it in how many days?
Let's see. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Basically 8 tracks in 11 days.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do 2 drift events in 1 week,
Yeah.
you know.
No,
ever.
you don't want to,
No.
Yeah.
but we're idiots.
Yeah.
You guys are cool though.
And you're
I would do it.
street driving your drift cars for
Well,
thousands of miles.
Some people
Some
street
people.
drove their drift cars. I did not. I tried really hard.
I remember that. Yeah.
I failed miserably.
Yeah.
But it looked like
But-
a lot of fun. A lot of
Oh,
a
it
lot of
was
seat time,
it
obviously.
was the most fun, stressful, dangerous, expensive thing that I've ever done. It was literally like condensing an entire season of Formula D into basically 7 days.
Yeah. Between
which
fixing your car, fuel,
is
tires.
unreal.
Yeah.
And you have to change all your own tires because you only get one crew member.
Yeah.
Like there was all these rules and stipulations. Like it was supposed to be, you have to street drive your car. You can bring a trailer if you want. You only get 8 wheels and tires in their support trailer at a time. Your co-driver or co-pilot has to be pre-approved. Like you can't just randomly bring somebody on a whim. You technically were only supposed to have one guy, but there were some guys that out there that had 2 or 3. So it was weird, and none of us knew what to expect going into it. And Aaron isn't the best at communicating, which is funny
kinda
because
get
all
that
Aaron does
impression.
is over communicate.
Yeah. I kind of get that impression though. Like, you know, like he'll explain something so much and in such great detail that you haven't learned anything.
You haven't learned anything.
Yeah.
He got the point across somewhere in those 1,000 words or less.
Yeah.
Right. You understand, kind of, but yeah.
Yes, kind of. So we all jumped on, and it was funny because like some of the bigger, like we kind of brought it up to Matt Field, and Matt Field was like an immediate yes. Like he was like, I'm in, I got a car, let's go.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And then we didn't hear from him again until we actually showed up for the event. But it was just like, it's crazy how much of a draw it is. And I kind of draw parallels to it to like back in the day, from riding BMX, we had this series called Road Fools where they would go and it was just 15 dudes in a bus riding BMX all over the country. And it was, to me, I thought it was going to be more about the camaraderie and all the stuff that happened off the track and a little bit of track stuff sprinkled in here and there, but it was just like the personalities and intermingling, and somehow all of that got missed because literally everybody there was doing their own thing and focusing on themselves the whole time.
Yeah.
Which was kind of a bummer to me because I was into it, man. I wanted to just live the lifestyle like that's, but somehow that didn't get captured very well.
Yeah,
at all.
I can see that kind of. I mean, honestly, the only time I watched a lot of the footage, but like the only time you guys were mingling was when you were on track.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's because as soon as the track day was over, it was just like,
Yeah, everyone's tired. Everyone's ready.
Everyone had to
And
go
you-
edit their videos.
And you had to start driving to the next place, and
Well, there was a few nights though where we had downtime, but everybody just spent it literally editing. Like that's what it was. It was like
Yeah.
15 dudes in a room on their apples.
there should be a new rule this year where it's like you're not allowed to edit until after the trip.
And see, that's the thing though, but there's guys that make their living doing that, so they actually can't. And now there's going to be even more vlog dudes. So it's like going to be even worse than it was last time. Like I gave up. I did a video a day for like 8 days in a row. And I was just like, this sucks. You guys are stupid. I'm going to the pool.
It is hard to vlog. I mean, like I'm kind of in charge of the vlog part of the stuff that we do on YouTube here. And I'll be like so like balls deep and elbow deep in a car that
Yeah.
like an entire day will go by and I'm like,
I
film
didn't say anything. Yep.
I didn't film anything. I didn't say anything. I didn't even turn the camera. I didn't even look for the camera, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I did some really cool stuff and it would have been really cool to show people, but you know,
didn't.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
a
but I
huge
kind of,
pain.
yeah,
Huge pain. And
It's
it
hard.
it put a damper. I think that put a damper on the whole trip. Plus, Aaron was supposed to have this series that kind of showcased everything, but everybody already knew everything in the 3 months it took Aaron to edit his videos.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just like counterintuitive to what Aaron wanted to do. Because my understanding was we could make video content, but we couldn't show any of the plot or the challenges or what we did that day. We could just show driving and like some interactions otherwise, but that didn't happen at all. Like that was
Right.
my understanding going into it, and that didn't happen.
yeah, you
So
got to
I
like
don't know, man.
maybe pitch the idea to Aaron that like we need to have scheduled party time.
Yes, it
Yeah.
has to happen. So it's not even party time. It's just hang out together. And
Exactly,
it's
yeah.
like, and
Like
then you have the other
cookouts or
problem
something,
where you
yeah.
have LZ who can't go out in public, so you can't go to a restaurant
Yeah.
because LZ's there, because he's
Right.
going to get mobbed by people standing in line to go into the restaurant. Like so there's all these limiting factors, and it's just like shoot yourself in the foot 3 times before you get to do anything else.
Yeah.
Uh,
3
But
times.
it was really fun, and I'm obviously signed up for the next one, so I'm an idiot enough to do it again.
Yeah.
what car are you
On the-
taking?
That was my question.
Top secret. It's not a
Oh.
Z and it's not an S chassis.
Oh.
It'll be my first time in the chassis. Technically first time with the motor.
All right, so it's a completely different motor you've ever driven?
Yeah.
Can we guess? No, we're not gonna guess. We're not gonna guess.
You're gonna like it. It's gonna be a surprise.
Okay.
Okay.
I like surprises.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be way better than a Z. Because I was just thinking about it. I was like, well, I could put a V8 in the Z, and then it still has 2 doors, and it still has a cage, and it still sucks.
And it's still ugly.
And it's still the ugliest thing out there.
All right, so,
So
gonna have AC.
don't need it. It's gonna be on the East Coast in November.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, you're not.
What
gonna need
tracks are
AC.
you guys going to on the East Coast?
I don't think he's got a finalized list yet, but we start in Texas and we end up in New Jersey. I know that much.
Cool.
Okay. Well, if you guys swing through Virginia, man, stop by and hang out.
We
for a
might.
little-
I don't, like I said, I don't think he's even gotten like finalized stuff from
Yeah.
all the people, but I
mean,
have
shoot,
no
if
idea.
if you guys need a shop or a lift or something.
Right
or
on.
just,
Yeah.
like,
No,
some
we'll
food.
definitely did. Every place we went, there was at least one car that needed a shop. So
Yeah, exactly. We've got a dyno if you need to fix your stuff too.
Yeah.
so sick. Even
Yeah,
better.
seriously, for real, you guys
So-
are more than welcome to use that.
We'll definitely bring that up. But yeah, it should be really interesting. And there's supposed to be like 23 dudes on this next one.
Holy crap, dude!
Yo, that's gonna be such a party. Such
I
a
hope
party.
You
it
would
is.
think that, but I think it's just going to be a bunch of dudes walking around like this the whole time. Which is, I would wake up in the morning and I'd stretch and I'd go outside in front of the hotel and there was 12 guys like
Dude, there's this Instagram page that I recently found. It's called Influencers in the Wild. If you
That was
don't
us.
follow it, if you
might
don't
follow
follow it, dude, it's gonna break your entire life. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's so good. Me and my wife literally just lay in bed for like an hour every
I'm
night,
gonna
just
put that
scrolling
on
through it.
right now
You have
because
to
that
like
just
request to follow it, I think, for some reason, but
Oh yeah, this account is
dude, it's
private.
so good. Oh my gosh, so good. It's so worth it. And you don't see as many vloggers, but just like people on Instagram and making TikTok videos in public and people making fun of, it's so good.
I can't wait. It's gonna be
And
awesome.
like,
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the day now that the next time, because I told Ed about this, the next time I have the freaking vlog camera out, he's going to film it and submit it to Influencers in the Wild.
Hold on, I got a video for you I took today of Dan.
Dude, I'll have
Oh.
I could have so many clips for them. I mean, it's just gonna be a week and a half worth of clips for that Instagram page.
Oh
I
man.
don't know if you can see it, but he's in the back of a car pulling out the back seat. So it's just like he doesn't know that I'm watching. That he's on camera and he just looks. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's gonna be a weird one. I think it's a really cool concept. I think it needs some polish. I think it would be a fantastic goddamn reality show
Yeah.
if everybody didn't have to worry about filming themselves. It
Yeah.
would be a completely different experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. But that's also like part of the draw to everyone that wants to do it is they're like, oh, people are going to watch my videos because it's Drift Week.
Yeah.
And everyone wants to do Drift Week.
I barely got any more views. I think I I
Well,
rode
want
at
them.
Adam LZ's coattails. I got on his coattails for one of the videos out of the like 13 that I released for Drift Week. I ended up riding his coattails on one, and it got like 18,000 views, and the rest of them have like 500.
Yeah.
And for me, everything that I do on YouTube is basically just to like either for kids, if I ever have kids, to be like, hey, look at the dumb stuff I used to do, or
Yeah.
for like me when I have Alzheimer's, I'm like, look at the dumb stuff I used to do. It's not. I just literally do it for posterity's sake. Like I'm not
Yeah.
out to be a vlogger or to be a big YouTube star. I just put the content there so that I can have the content there
Yeah.
for later.
It is nice to look back on. Like
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like
Yeah.
I did this and I documented it well, and it turned out to be a pretty funny video. Cool. I can watch that in 15 years and get a good chuckle out of it.
Speaking of funny videos, the the video you did for the lug nuts, for the Gktech lug nuts, dude. Have you seen that one?
No, I'm gonna watch it.
You-
It's
you-
definitely my best work, I think,
Oh
from
my
a how-to
god, dude,
video.
I might have even sent it to the chat for work because I was crying laughing watching it, dude. It's just
Some videos,
well, you're
I
set
mean,
up
it's
for
a lug
gold
nut
there with
install video
nuts.
for one. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean, and nuts is a very pivotal point, word in the vocabulary of the video. So you got to exploit it.
you know,
It's
you
just,
have to. You got to go nuts. I mean, it's just what you do.
oh man,
It's sometimes I get to be silly. It's like some of the installs are so difficult that I don't have a chance to be funny. But on a lug nut video, if you can't install lug nuts, you should probably not be into motorsports.
yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I had to bring that up because it's so funny. So if you haven't seen that, I'm gonna find the link
Here,
to
I have it
that.
right here.
Yeah, post it in the chat for the live video so people can watch that. I don't even care if they click off of here to watch that. It's so funny. Oh my gosh, and it's only like 2 minutes long, so
Yeah, it's a shorty.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching that.
it's so good. That and then your just your voice there is so cool and collected, and these are nuts. So here we go. It's just here's a lug nut install video from Gktech.
I really enjoy doing the voiceover work for those.
Oh man,
It's that's a lot of my time is taken up doing the voiceover stuff for those. So
yeah.
it's fun. I enjoy it.
Oh man. Well, since everybody's gonna probably click off and watch that video anyway, I'm just kidding. But no,
Get it out.
yeah. We've been going for a while, man. Do you have any questions for us?
Well, hopefully I don't have any questions, but hopefully you guys come to No Coast. We'd love to have you guys out.
Dude, I want to
Even if
come
you
out.
don't drive, just come hang out.
Well, I want to come out because there's no
But
way
yes, you do
I'm
want
gonna
to
ship
drive.
my car.
When is it?
It's September 4th, 5th, and 6th. And so it's basically Labor Day weekend every year. Now it's a 3-day event for basically the same price. I think I had to raise it like $20. So it's a 3-day event for less than $200. And there are shenanigans. My God,
Yeah.
the shenanigans.
I
My
mean, you
God.
had me at shenanigans, but the problem is I'm going
and
to be
it's
on vacation that week. So
it's funny because like I go to all these events all over the country and I do announcing and I show up
Yeah.
and I hang out and it's like all these guys are like, dude, it's the craziest party. And in the back of my head, and I'm thinking like, I don't know. And then we'll go there and it'll be rad driving all day, and then there'll be like 4 dudes drinking beers around a campfire, and you're just like, not what I was promised. Not what I was promised.
yeah.
So,
So
what are you promising if we go to No Coast?
I can't make any promises, but it will be beyond expectations.
Perfect.
That's all you can ask for.
And
No.
this year it's going to be a little bit weird because we can't have spectators. Every driver can
yeah.
have 6 crew.
Yeah.
And so that's going to really change the dynamic of everything. And I think it's going to make it easier for me to run the event, of course, because I'm not babysitting 1,500 extra people.
Are you going to try to live stream it at all?
Our signal sucks so bad out there. I can't. We've tried almost every year and I can't. I get about 3 minutes in and then it just freezes, just like the FD live stream.
Dude, every year I'm like internet warrioring them like your stream sucks. Your stream sucks.
Well, our stream would suck too, so I don't even
Yeah.
do it. It's like you got to be there. You got to be there. And yeah, so it's going to be 3 days of mayhem. There's metal bands, and this will be crazy because you got to realize that these dudes haven't played a show all year long.
I know.
They're ready.
So they are going to flip and send it. And it's the other crazy part is it's been the same guys like that have kind of the same core group of dudes now has different bands, but it's been those same guys since No Coast 1.
That's awesome.
Same dudes playing No Coast for a decade.
That's awesome. So rad.
Yeah,
and we built them a stage. So we kind of hollowed out the back of an old semi truck and built them a stage with power and lights, and it's so much better. And then I take all the pallets from Gktech and bring them into a pit, and we'll have like a 40-foot bonfire. It's whilst the metal dodgeball is happening. Like Saturday night is rowdy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Saturday night is rowdy.
Since we legitimately probably can't come this year, let's just me and you will go party.
And the 11's really going to be I think having the spectators there it's going to change it. I don't know how it's going to be this year, but it is going to allow me to run 2 tracks at once because I always run 1 track to keep the spectators entertained. Otherwise, you don't get spectators or they leave or
right.
So this year, I think since I don't have to babysit spectators and it's all going to be crew, I can run 2 open lapping tracks at the same time. Which is just you won't have enough tires to go 3 days of drifting
even
with 2 track options.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be weird and it's gonna be different, but it's still gonna be rad. So
still gonna be worth it.
Yeah. So anybody that's listening, if you do want to go to one drift event this year, come to No Coast. Labor Day weekend. You will not regret it, I promise. The pre-order for the driving stuff is going to go up on like the 28th. So, and then you'll have a month to pre-reg and get all that taken care of.
Yeah. Sweet, man.
It'll be good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to all the media from that because I know it's going to be fun.
It's I know I dropped my phone and my camera and I don't talk to anybody for 3 days and I'm in it. Like I don't care. I don't ever film anything at No Coast. If somebody else wants to, they can. I'm just there to enjoy it.
That's the best way to do it too. Awesome. Well, Dan, dude, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for carving out some time and
Yeah, dude,
hanging out
thank
with
you.
us. And
It's good.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was a blast. So love
Yeah.
regaling tales of old.
yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, sweet. Well, that's it.
Yeah.
All right.
Check out gktechusa.com. I don't remember the website.
I think it's us.gktech.com.
Yeah, that one. And buy yourself some cool SRZ chassis suspension parts.
Go subscribe to Dan on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
He has a
watch
video with
me.
Adam LZ.
I have lots of videos with Adam LZ. I haven't even watched them.
Well, you watched them while you were editing them, and then you're like, I'm never watching.
I'm really bad at YouTube. I don't have time.
That's the best though.
I just
All right,
pop
man.
out a bunch of content. I'm like, you guys better watch my stuff. And I don't watch anything, so I can't really say much.
Awesome, man. Well, it's been a pleasure, man, for sure. And hope you have a good rest of the evening, man.
All right, you guys too. Be safe in the Rona 2020, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side at No Coast 11.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right,
Have
man.
a good one.
See ya.
Later, dudes.
Later, guys.